welcome back to my channel. My name is Setson. Today we're going to create a NodeJS authentication system. Okay, so I'm going to divide this tutorial into two parts. The first part is going to be the setup of the project, and then the second part is going to be the implementation. But of course, nowadays we have a lot of authentication tools that we can use. For instance, you can use Clerk, Next.js, Auth, Supabase, etc. But it's important for you to understand the underlying concepts of these authentication systems, and so that's what we're going to be doing today. Of course, we're going to be using Node.js, and we're going to use Express to create our server. But before I get into the setup and everything, I want you to understand something about the server. So a server can be a specialized computer, or it can be some kind of a software system. So what we are creating ourselves is a software system designed to provide services, data, or resources to other computers known as clients over a network. We're going to use this Express framework to create that server. For us to use Express, we need Node.js installed on our computer. So head over to this website right here, nodejs.org. Go ahead and install this long-term supported version. Once you are done, you can open your terminal or command prompt, run node-version, and you should be able to see some kind of a version in your terminal, and you are set to go. The next thing is we need to now create our project. So let me head over to my desktop, and I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to name this project Node.js-auth, but you can name it whatever you want. We want to open this in a text editor of our choice. I prefer Visual Studio Code, but any other text editor will do. So I'm going to right click here, show more options, and then I'm going to go to open with code. And sure enough, we have our project folder open in the text editor. So I'm going to close all this right here. We need to create a Node.js project. Okay, for us to create a Node.js project, we run this command. So I want you to open the terminal, the built-in terminal in Visual Studio Code. So you can go to terminal, new terminal. You see there's a terminal open down here. And so we want to run npm init, which is initializing a Node.js project. So you pass that -y and create a default package.json. And so I'm going to run this command right here. Once you run this, you'll see out here, we now have a new file created inside our project, which is our package.json. Package.json is a JSON file that lives in the root of a Node.js project. It holds important metadata about the project, including the project name, version, author, description, main file, scripts, and dependencies. It enables Node.js and npm, Node Package Manager, to manage your project's dependencies and scripts efficiently. That's why you need that package.json for dependency management, project metadata, script management, and then project configuration. We can go ahead and check out our package.json. As you can see, it holds the metadata of your project. Now we can go ahead and install our dependencies for this specific project. Control J or Command J. I'm going to open the terminal again. I'm going to clear this, and we're going to install our first dependency. Inside here, we can say npm, which is Node Package Manager. This comes with the Node installation. That's why you need to install Node initially. Install, and then the name of your package that you want to install. In this case, we want to install Express. You can see out here, we now have two other files that have been created. We have Node modules. We also have package-lock.json. This locks the versions of the dependencies. Now we can go ahead and create our server inside the main project. I'm going to create a file called server.js, and by the way, you can name this whatever you want, but it has to have this .js extension. And so the first thing we need to do is we need to require Express. So I'm going to call it Express, and then you go require, and then in quotation mark Express. By the way, you might ask, where am I getting all this from? Of course, I'm getting this from the documentation. For Express.js, you go to expressjs.com. This is where you find the documentation. Okay, so after this, we can then create our app. As mentioned in the documentation, we create an instance of Express by using this Express right here, which we imported or required up here. Okay, so we're going to say Express. Okay, after we do that, we can create some kind of a port or uppercase. And then I'm going to be listening on port 3000. And then we then listen for requests on this port right here. So we can say app.listen. And then we pass in the port, and we can also pass in a callback function. I'll pass in a callback function right here, which is an arrow function, by the way. Let me log to the console. I'm going to use backticks. Server running on ports, and then we'll pass in that port number right here. So I'm going to run in port because this is the port right here. Okay, so let me save this. The way we run this, we use Node server.js. Run this. You can see say server running on port 3000, and thus we have successfully created our server right here.